Welcome back. You're still tuned into markets at noon, and Nifty has now slipped into the red. In fact, it is trading below that 26,200 mark. Clearly, we have seen some bit of weakness come in after we hit that all-time high today. But shifting focus to CenturyPly then, the management is now joining us. Mr. Keshav Bhajanka, ED at CenturyPly, is now joining us. Mr. Bhajanka, afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. Ashesha this side. The sector itself, the plywood industry, has faced a lot of headwinds over the last 2 to 3 years when it comes to demand or when it comes to margins. What is your outlook for the next 2 to 3 years? And you've also gone ahead and revised your revenue guidance upwards for FY26. What factors do you think will aid this optimism?
I think that, in the past, we have seen substantial headwinds, like you correctly pointed out. But all the steps that we have taken from the point of view of demand creation, whether it be advertising, whether it be re-networking of our supply chain, whether it be on-ground activation of contractors, carpenters, influencers, and so on and so forth, have now put us in a very strong position. There is a shift that is taking place from the unbranded to the branded slowly. But I think as far as the plywood category is concerned, this has already aided us, and going forward, it is likely to further improve demand on the ground. The new launches that we were expecting have started hitting the market, and that has started moving the needle. But going forward, I am bullish that it will further increase offtake.
Right. Mr. Bhajanka, hi, this is Ankita also joining in. What is the update on the debottlenecking plans for the MDF in Chennai plant? You mentioned that the debottlenecking would be undertaken in the second half. Is the project progressing as planned, and do you still expect it to be executed in the second half, or is there any change in the timelines?
I think you are referring to the Andhra Pradesh project. There, we are looking at increasing capacity by expanding the line. And while we were expecting to do that in H2 of this year, we have a very good problem to have, which is that demand has been great on the ground. As such, we have deferred this to Q1 of next year, because we believe that with the monsoon season, there comes a slight lull where we will be able to stock up, build inventory, and then go for the expansion. Currently, due to the substantial volume of orders that we have, I don't think we'll be in a position to take a shutdown of close to a month or so. And as such, it's a good problem to have, but yes, it has been deferred to April of the coming year.
Understood. So that's as far as your capex and expansion plans are concerned, but also wanted your thoughts on timber cost. How has that price been trending, and what kind of impact will that outlook have on your margins going forward? If you can give us some guidance when it comes to margins going forward.
I think that timber costs have peaked out. I think that we have seen a substantial increase in timber costs over the course of the past couple of years. Having said that, I think overall we are in a position where margins will be as per guidance. The attempt will always be to improve on margins slightly, but 12 to 14% of plywood is 10% in laminates. MDF margins of 15% and particle board margins steady state of 15%. That looks achievable. And going forward, I'm sure that we will deliver the same, if not better.
Right. Mr. Bhajanka, also give us an update on the market share for all your verticals.
As you know, that in our industry, market share, due to the large presence of unorganized players, is difficult to ascertain. But what I can say is that as far as plywood and MDF are concerned, we have gained in market share, which is clear. I think we have grown at a much faster pace compared to anyone else in the industry currently. And going forward, the attempt will always be to increase market share. In laminates, I think we have slightly lost out on market share, but this will be corrected within the next year or two.
You are expected to enjoy market share gains going forward. But since we spoke about a whole host of capex plans that you have over the next few years, if you can take us through how will these capex plans weigh heavy on your debt profile? Is there deleveraging on the roadmap?
Currently, most of the substantial capex that we had planned is already behind us. As you know, the Andhra Pradesh unit has come into production. The Chennai unit for particle board, the new unit has come into production. And we are just looking at one new plywood unit. Plywood, as you know, is not very high capex. There are no more frozen capex plans. So currently, the majority of our cash flow is going to be used towards debt repayment. As and when things change, we'll definitely keep you in the loop.
Right. Mr. Bhajanka also talked to us about the capex plan for FY26 and FY27. How much have you utilized? How much of the capex have you utilized in the first half of FY26?
The majority of the capex that we have is done. Like I said, our new TBK plant, which is the particle board plant in Chennai, has already come into production. And that was the last large capex. As you know, Badvel has already been completed, which is the Andhra Pradesh plant. Going forward, we would have one new plant in Plywood that is coming up and smaller capexes. But there is no large frozen capex other than these that has been decided on yet.
If we look at the revenue run rate that you have reported over the last few quarters, you reported revenue of about 1,400 crores in the September ended quarter and a total of about 2,500 crores of revenue in the first half of this year. What will your target be for the full year and how much do you aim to achieve in the second half?
I think, we have given certain guidance numbers in terms of revenue growth. And yes, you're right that there has been a slight revision. Plywood, we believe, will be at 13% plus, MDF 15 to 70, MDF 25%, laminates 15 to 17%, and particle board of 40%. I think we are well on track to achieve the same.
Okay. Also talk to us about your guidance, Mr. Bhajanka. What would be your revenue and your margin guidance for the second half of FY26?
I think I've already mentioned, but for the year, we don't give guidance by quarters, but for the year, revenue guidance will be, as I have just mentioned. And in terms of margins, plywood 12 to 14, laminates close to 10%, MDF 15%, and particle board steady state of 15%. But currently, due to capacity utilization, it's a new plant, low capacity utilization, we'll be in single digits.
That's as far as the margin and revenue growth guidance is concerned across segments. Mr. Bhajanka, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now and helping us understand what the outlook is and what will the demand drivers be going forward for CenturyPly. Thanks so much for joining us today. On that note, we need to slip into a very short break.